Strange and interesting world. Brutal forms of execution. Welcome to this episode where we will share with you what we think are some of the most brutal forms of execution. Execution has been used for punishment since before recorded history could tell us what methods were used. In this short video, we will cover what we think are some of the most brutal. Although we have done our very best to keep this graphic subject down to the essentials of explaining how it was committed and the illustrations as clean from gore as possible, be aware this is graphic, and you should leave this video now if you are sensitive to this type of material. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy. The breaking wheel. The breaking wheel was in use from the Middle Ages up to the 19th century. It is thought to have originated in Greece and spread from there to other nations. The victims were attached to a wheel, in effect stretching them out with their limbs extended along its many spokes. Then a bar or hammer was used through the gaps in the wheel to break the bones of the limbs. This took a while to torture someone in this manner, but could leave them left alive with every single bone in their bodies broken. Burning. This painful and gruesome execution was practiced mainly in Rome, Sicily, and England, with some parts of North America using it as well. Burning was inflicted slowly and with purpose, beginning with the calves, then thighs, then hands, torso, forearms, breasts, chest, face, and then death. The pain would be unimaginable, though sometimes people died from carbon monoxide poisoning before the fire had reached any part of their bodies. Pitch was also sometimes used, applied to the victims, to make the fire more intense and speed the process. A truly brutal form of execution. Crucifixion. One of the most gruesome and painful ancient execution methods was crucifixion, used from the 6th century BC till around the 4th century AD, mainly by the Romans, Persians, Carthaginians. The victims were tied and sometimes nailed to large wooden crosses and left there to hang until death. Death usually came from blood loss resulting from the wounds applied from the nails or being pierced by spears to speed the dying. Although hunger and thirst or exposure to nature sometimes claimed the lives of the victims as well. Occasionally, this form of punishment is still used in some countries even today. Disembowelment. Disembowelment is the removal of some or all of the organs of the gastrointestinal tract, practiced all over the world at various times as torture or a form of psychological warfare. Usually a horizontal incision was made in the abdomen, and then the organs were allowed to spill from the body, or simply the intestines were slowly extracted. In England, it was common to employ mice. An incision was made, then starving mice were laid upon the abdomen of the victim, so that they could watch in horror and pain as these vermin would gnaw and eat at the exposed intestines, resulting in infection, then later on death. Another method was to make an incision exposing the intestinal tract and allowing infection to form and claim the lives of the victims. Either way, this was truly a horrific and brutal torture. Flaying. Flaying was a barbaric and utterly brutal form of punishment from the Middle Ages. To start with, the skin was slowly removed from a living person. After the skin was removed, a person would be thrown about to encourage blood loss and death. Many times, salt was thrown onto the skinless areas to increase the pain the person was already suffering exponentially. To make matters worse for the victim, this was a very public form of execution, whereas people from the crowd were oftentimes encouraged to assault the victims even further. Impalement. Dracula of the 15th century employed this form of torture by forcing the victim to sit on the sharp end of a thick pole. The pole was then raised, leaving the victim to slide further down the pole by their own weight. Unfortunately for the victims, death did not necessarily follow swiftly, leaving the person to suffer for hours, sometimes even days. This torture, which was practiced by the Romans, Chinese, Turks, Greeks, and and Baltic nations, usually, but included others from around the world. This torture started by piercing through the rectum, vagina, mouth, or side, and would cause massive internal damage, hemorrhaging, then death. Unfortunately for the victims, as stated before, this could go on for long periods of time before death was ever achieved. Slow slicing, or Ling Chi. Known as a lingering death, or death of 1,000 cuts, and in China as Ling Chi, this was a common method of execution for criminals. A sharp weapon was used to purposefully and slowly remove portions of the body over a very long time, resulting in eventual death. Ling Chi was reserved for crimes viewed as especially severe. Banned in 1905 in China, sometimes opium was administered to prevent the victims from fainting during the process. Thank you for watching this installment of Strange and Interesting World. Please give us a like if you enjoyed our work, and don't forget to hit subscribe for quick and easy access to all our current videos and future releases. Thanks for watching.